Hello, everyone. This is Scott from Pyvot. I wanted to reach out, say hello, and more specifically, introduce a new product from one of our close partners, Chromanik Technologies. This is the Biphenyl column. And what I'm going to do is jump into a screen share that will highlight the technology, show you some applications, as well as some comparative information as well. So I'm going to do that right now. Just to note, I have some notes here that I will refer to that will help move us along. And if you have any comments, thoughts, feedback, please let me know. I look forward to hearing it. I will also highlight some opportunities for us to work together at the end of this presentation. In the past, we've highlighted in greater detail the underlying technology of Chromanik. They're, again, the Sunshell and the Sunniest line. They have a unique end capping technology, and that's really highlighted in greater detail. And I will share those links after, but prior to moving forward with the biphenyl presentation, we will highlight a few things about the Chromanik technology. So again, we will speak about the biphenyl columns, and Chromanik uses a trifunctional silyl reagent. Additionally, there's a double end capping and a high temperature end capping. What the high temperature end capping entails is a conversion from silanol groups to a siloxane bond. And the advantages include low bleeding and high stability. Those are the main points, and we will speak about that as we go forward. Some features of the biphenyl column include the following. The two benzene rings of the biphenyl group are twisted about 45 degrees, and the biphenyl group shows different separation from the phenyl group alone. Even when an aqueous mobile phase containing no organic solvent is used, there is no decrease in retention, and separation with high reproducibility of retention time is achieved. And we will show some options here as well, or different scenarios. Additionally, there's greater retention of polar compounds like that of caffeine, and we'll speak about that too. In summary, the biphenyl column is a combination of hydrophobic, aromatic, and polar selectivity. I want to highlight the columns that we will speak about here as well. As you can see, we have the Sunniest Biphenyl, which is more of the porous material from Chromanik. We also have the Coreshell columns from Sunniest. It's the Sunshell Biphenyl column, which is the Coreshell material. We'll use this to compare the Chromanik technology and more specifically the Sunshell Biphenyl column to that of company A, company B, and company C, and those are Coreshell Biphenyl columns. The next page will show the specific columns that we will use, or at least the names. I'm going to move on here. So first we will look at the comparison of Coreshell Biphenyl columns using standard samples. So what we have here, just to start off, we have the Sunshell C18 column, just to give you a baseline. But we also have company A, company B, and company C biphenyl columns, and then the Sunshell Biphenyl column on the bottom for this point here. One thing we want to highlight is the separation pattern between A company B and company C are very similar, while the Sunshell column is a little different. And the reason for this is A, B, and C versus the Sunshell column, there is a different biphenyl silyl reagent that is used. So company A, company B, and company C use dimethyl biphenylsilane monol, while Sunshell uses biphenylsilane triol, just to give you perspective there. What we do want to highlight and look at is peak number 5, amylbenzene, which is here, and look at the retention factor, and you can see that Sunshell has a higher retention factor than the other companies, A, B, and C. Additionally, Sunshell is more hydrophobic than the other players. Let's look at some other samples here as well. So we will first look at pyridine, comparison using pyridine. And this is peak number 2. And we are using methanol and water. And when methanol is used as the organic solvent, looking at number 2, you can see that pyridine has some tailing. Now, in the case of the Sunshell biphenyl column, there is no tailing, and that's mainly due to the end capping technology of the Sunshell column, and it does not absorb as many residual silanol groups. This is the main reason for it. Now, looking at comparison using Oxine. In this case, we'll look at peak number 1, company A, B, and C. We are using a mobile phase of acetonitrile with 20 millimolars of a phosphoric acid. What you can see here, and also this oxine is a metal chelating compound. And if there are metal impurities in the packing material, the peak becomes tailing a bit. As you can see with the peak number 1 in A, B, and C. The biphenyl column, however, from Sunshell holds up really well. Now, how about formic acid? Now, in most cases, acidic compounds do not have too many elution problems. But in the case of formic acid, there is sometimes tailing, particularly in company A. B and C and the Sunshell biphenyl column do not have this issue, but it's something to look at. And this is we're working with, in this case, acetonitrile with phosphoric acid. Let's continue here. Looking at the comparison of Coreshell biphenyl phases using basic compounds. And what we're going to look at here is we're going to jump right to 2 scenarios. The first is a mobile phase acetonitrile with 20 millimolars of phosphate buffer, pH 7. And we will focus on amitriptyline, peak number 4. And you can see with company A, company B, and company C, you can see that there is some tailing factor there. While the Sunshell biphenyl column holds up better, there's less of a tailing factor, and the retention time is better as well. And this is mainly due to the end capping technology and absorbing less residual silanol groups. This continues with the scenario on the right with a mobile phase of acetonitrile with 10 millimolars of ammonium acetate with a pH of 6.8. You can see that the tailing factor increases compared to the other scenario for company A, B, and C, and also the retention time increases. So both the tailing factor and the retention time increases. However, the Sunshell biphenyl column holds up quite well in this circumstance, again attributed to the end capping technology highlighted before. Now, how about stability? These are interesting scenarios here. Wanted to speak about this more. We will look at bleed comparison under acidic conditions on the left, and then we will look at comparison of plate number under weakly alkaline conditions. I want to highlight this bleed comparison under acidic conditions. So acidic pH conditions, this acid makes silyl reagents cut off from the surface of packing material. There is an end capping reagent and there is a biphenyl reagent. The end capping reagent has no UV absorption, while the biphenyl reagent has UV absorption. The peak area means total volume of a biphenyl cut off from the surface. So the peak area of the Sunshell biphenyl is much smaller than that of the others, as you can see here. The reagent that is cut off from the surface of company A, company B, and company C is dimethyl biphenylsilane monol, while the reagent cut off from the surface of the Sunshell biphenyl is biphenylsilane triol. The reagent for A, B, and C is more hydrophobic as well. And so regarding the bleed peak, the retention time of Sunshell biphenyl is shorter than that of other biphenyl columns. So looking at this in more detail, you can see that there's a phosphate solution with acetonitrile, and there's a gradient program in which the organic solvent is gradually released. You can see that the Sunshell column has the least amount desorbed, as well as the best acidic stability under this circumstance. Now, looking to the right, we look at comparison of plate numbers under weakly alkaline conditions with a mobile phase of 10 or 20 millimolars of sodium phosphate with a pH of 8. And the measurement condition of the plate number is using acetonitrile with water, 50%, 50%. And looking at this, the Sunshell column holds up really well compared to the other companies A, B, and C, actually much longer, and doesn't really begin to deteriorate until about 250 hours. So we're looking at the relative plate numbers and elution time. Now, what about comparison of stationary phases using isomers of methyl hippuric acid? This scenario is interesting here. What we will do is we'll look at the stationary phases, different stationary phases we are comparing within the Sunshell line, not to other companies. So we have the C18 column, the C30, the phenylhexyl, and the biphenyl column. We're also looking at mobile phase of methanol, acetonitrile, 2-propanol, and tetrahydrofuran with a phosphate buffer. Under, again, looking at this. What you'll also see here is they're isomers. So we're looking at ortho, meta, and para methyl hippuric acid. So jumping right to the 2-propanol with a phosphate buffer, you can see that the biphenyl column has very good, has the best separation and has the highest retention as well, as you can see here versus in this circumstance. Something to look at. Another thing to look at as well, and this is mainly due to the high hydrogen bond capacity, but the elution order in the C18, the C30, and the phenylhexyl go as ortho, para, meta. In the case of the biphenyl column, you'll see ortho, meta, para. And again, this is attributed to the high hydrogen bond capacity. Let's move to the next page, next one here. We'll look at the comparison of stationary phases using creatinine, mandelic acid, hippuric acid, and methyl hippuric acid. So again, we're looking between the Sunshell columns, the different stationary phases of C18, C8, phenylhexyl, and biphenyl. And we are using the 2-propanol with 20 millimolars of ammonium acetate. In this case, we're using it for MS detection, good for LCMS. In this case, you could see that there is high retention and the best separation in this case with the biphenyl column. And then you can also see that it's meta and para. The elution order is meta and para. That's the order compared with the biphenyl column compared to the others, the C18, C8, and phenylhexyl columns. In the case of the mobile phase of ion pair reagents, similar circumstance, you could see that overall the biphenyl column has the best separation as well, to give you an idea. Now looking at the comparison of stationary phases using nucleic acid bases. You will see here as well, this is an interesting analysis. We will look at two different scenarios. We'll look at methanol with 10 millimolars of ammonium acetate with a pH of 6.8. We're looking at C18, reverse phase aqua, and a biphenyl circumstance. Again, these are all among the Sunshell columns. And you can note here, you can see that the biphenyl column has the highest retention as well as the best resolution as well. What we also see here, which is interesting as well, is the 10 millimolar of ammonium acetate with a pH of 6.8. We also here stop the pump for 1 hour. And just to look at overall reproducibility, and that will give us an idea of certain things here as well. And so what you can see in this case, again, you have the high hydrogen bond capacity. Is again, we're looking at thymine and adenine. In this case, 5 and 6, you can see that the elution order is changed with the biphenyl column. The separation with high reproducibility of retention time as well, with 100% aqueous solution, and it's also quite effective at retaining polar compounds. So these are some of the scenarios we have here using comparison of stationary phases using nucleic acid bases. What else we want to highlight here? We want to go back a little bit, but and this is you looking at comparison of biphenyl phases using isomers of methyl hippuric acid. This is similar to the page, the one before the last one. As you can see, this is more comparing Sunshell versus the other players, company A, B, and C, using on the left 2-propanol with the phosphate buffer, and then tetrahydrofuran with a phosphate buffer. You can see that the Chromanik column has the highest, has the best separation, and has the high retention as well. Finally, we just want to highlight what is available. We have a full line here of both the Sunshell Coreshell columns in the biphenyl phase, as well as the fully porous columns as well. Thank you so much for watching this. And if any of you are interested in our columns, we would, if you can mention this presentation. So for first-time users of the biphenyl columns, we will be offering a discount to you. This applies to existing customers as well as new customers. So if you note this presentation and you're interested in the biphenyl columns, we will offer them at a discount to you. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to your feedback, and have a great day or evening, and look forward to seeing you soon.